All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into some pretty wild theories.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
We're talking about an MP3 called David Wilcock, Antarctica Mystery Solved Wake Up World.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, this MP3 does not disappoint when it comes to out there claims, like secret space programs, hidden civilizations. We're talking Men in Black meets Indiana Jones on a cosmic scale.
Yeah, what I found really interesting about this one was this idea of partial disclosure.
Partial disclosure.
Yeah, so the MP3 talks about like this powerful group, the Cabal, the New World Order, all that jazz. They're supposedly about to be exposed for all the things they've been doing.
Right, right.
So to kind of like soften the blow, they're going to reveal some truth, but not the whole truth.
Okay, so they're trying to control the narrative like a magician, right?
Exactly.
Revealing only part of the trick.
Yeah, just enough to keep people distracted.
So what kind of truths are we talking about here?
Well, according to the MP3, they might admit to a military-industrial complex secret space program.
Wow.
Which they call the MIC-SSP.
MIC-SSP.
Okay. And this program is supposedly way more advanced than anything we know about publicly. Like, they're talking about cloaked orbital platforms and the ability to travel within our solar system.
Hold on. So while we're down here stuck in traffic, there's this secret space fleet zipping around above us.
That's what they're saying.
I mean, if that's true, why all the secrecy?
Well, the MA3 claims they're keeping it under wraps as part of a bigger scheme to control us, to keep us in the dark, and suppress knowledge that could lead to our advancement.
Okay, so it's like a cosmic power play.
Basically. But it gets even crazier. They also talk about, like, a hidden high-tech civilization in Antarctica.
Oh, yeah, like a real-life Atlantis buried under the ice.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. How do you even wrap your head around that?
I know, right? And there are even older ruins mentioned in the MP3, over 1.8 billion years old, found on Earth and elsewhere in the solar system. And get this, they're supposedly made from a crystalline, transparent aluminum alloy.
Wait, transparent aluminum.
Yep.
Okay, now that is straight out of Star Trek.
I know, right?
But seriously, if any of this is even remotely true, it would completely change our understanding of history.
Totally. It would be huge.
Imagine the technology, the lost knowledge.
It's mind-blowing to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
But obviously we have to be careful here.
Right.
I mean, these are some pretty extraordinary claims.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right? We got to approach this with a healthy dose of skepticism. We need to think critically about the information.
For sure. For sure. But skepticism doesn't mean shutting down possibilities entirely.
Definitely not.
It means carefully examining the evidence, asking tough questions.
Absolutely.
So let's do that. This MP3 relies heavily on the testimony of a guy named Corey Goode. He claims to be, get this, a 20-year veteran of this secret space program.
Yeah, Corey Goode's story is definitely one of the most interesting parts of this whole thing.
So what's his deal?
Well, he claims to have firsthand experience with technologies and beings that sound like they're straight out of science fiction.
Okay, but is it just one guy, spinning yarn?
Well, that's what's interesting. The MP3 also brings up these other supposed insiders who back up his claims, which makes it a little more, well, complicated.
So we have multiple people claiming to have seen this hidden world.
Yeah, multiple sources, multiple perspectives.
What kind of world are we talking about here?
Well, according to Goode, we're talking advanced technology, interstellar travel, and, get this, contact with hundreds of other human-like civilizations.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. And he mentions this faction within the SSP called the SSP Alliance.
Okay.
And they supposedly want to share their tech and knowledge with the rest of humanity.
For good guys and bad guys in this cosmic drama.
It seems that way, yeah. Like there's this secret war going on behind the scenes for control of, well, everything.
And where do these sphere beings fit into all of this? You mentioned them earlier.
Ah, yes. The sphere beings. This is where it gets really interesting. So Goode says he's like an ambassador for this group of super advanced benevolent ETs.
Okay.
And they live in these giant spheres parked throughout our solar system.
Giant spheres like spaceships.
Yeah, like massive spaceships.
Okay.
And they're supposedly here to guide us through some kind of upcoming evolutionary event triggered by a huge solar energy release.
Wait, an evolutionary event? Like, are we talking about a mass awakening or something?
The MP3 calls it ascension, which is often used in spiritual circles to describe a shift in consciousness, a move to a higher level of being.
So these sphere beings are helping us evolve.
That's the idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Guiding us toward a more positive future.
Okay, this is getting pretty wild. Secret space programs, ancient civilizations, ETs, and a potential evolutionary leap for humanity. It's a lot to process, and we've barely scratched the
I
surface.
know, right? There's so much more to unpack here. And as we go deeper into this MP3, things are only going to get more intriguing.
Oh, I can't wait. But before we do, let's just take a minute to consider what we've already heard.
Mm,
I mean, if even a tiny bit of this is true, it means everything we thought we knew about history, technology, and our place in the universe is completely wrong.
exactly. It would mean there's this whole other reality operating right alongside our own. A reality with advanced tech, alien contact, a hidden history that's been kept secret from us.
And it begs the question, why?
Yeah, why?
Why all the secrecy?
What are they so afraid of us knowing?
That is a question we will definitely be exploring more as we continue our deep dive into this MP3. But for now, let's shift our focus to another interesting part of Good's story.
Okay.
He mentions running into a different, less advanced space program, this MIC SSP we talked about earlier.
Yes, the other space program. According to Good, they're aware of some advanced technology, and they know about this cabal, but they're kept in the dark about the big picture.
So it's like they're only getting a limited view of what's really going on.
Right.
They're pawns in a game they don't even know they're playing.
Right. Exactly. Which raises some pretty disturbing questions about who's really calling the shots here.
It really does. But let's get back to Good's story. He claims that both he and this MIC SSP stumbled upon something truly amazing in Antarctica.
Oh, yes.
Flash-frozen ancient cities, and the remains of beings they called pre-Adamites.
Pre-atomized.
That's right. Sounds crazy, huh? We're talking about beings with elongated skulls, bodies not suited for Earth's gravity.
So, like, not human.
Well, the MP3 suggests they were refugees from another planet in our solar system, arrived tens of thousands of years ago, and even interbred with humans.
Hold on. So are we talking about ancient astronauts who crash landed on Earth and became part of our ancestry?
That's what the MP3 is implying. And remember, this all ties into the alleged history of Atlantis, that global cataclysm that buried the continent under ice.
It's like a real-life myth or legend coming to life.
It really is. I mean, think about it. What secrets could those ruins hold?
It's incredible to think about. What kind of technology, what kind of knowledge?
It's like a giant archaeological treasure chest, just waiting to be opened.
It really is. And speaking of Antarctica, the MP3 also mentions Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon.
Yeah, him. Remember that alleged tweet he made a while back showing a pyramid in Antarctica?
Oh, yeah, with that caption, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself."
Yeah. Turned out to be fake, but it definitely added to the whole mystery surrounding Antarctica.
It's like suddenly everyone's interested in Antarctica, which used to be considered like a barren wasteland.
Right. And it doesn't stop there. The MP3 also claims there's a reptilian ET race, they call them the Draco, who have a base in Antarctica.
Okay, reptilian ETs. Now that's a new one. We are going deep down the rabbit hole with this one.
We are. But that's what makes this deep dive so much fun. It makes you question everything. Makes you wonder if there's so much more to our history, our planet, our universe than we've been led to believe.
I'm hooked. This is definitely one of the most mind-bending deep dives we've done yet. And we've only just begun to explore the claims in this MP3.
There's so much more to come. We'll get into the Cabal's plans, the motives of the SSP Alliance, and those sphere beings. And we'll discuss what all these crazy claims could mean for the future of humanity.
Oh man, I can't wait. We'll unpack it all in the next part of our deep dive.
See you then.
See you there. Okay, so we're back. And I gotta say, my mind is still blown from all that talk about pre-Adamites. Ancient astronauts, elongated skulls, pyramids in Antarctica. It's like something out of a science fiction movie.
It definitely challenges our traditional understanding of history, that's for sure. And, one of the things that really stood out to me was that whole concept of entity attachments.
Yeah, that part was a little creepy. God said, a female being from a group called the Banished implanted these attachments in him. And they were later removed by, this being from inner Earth civilization.
It does sound a bit unsettling, but the idea of unseen forces or entities influencing us isn't entirely new. You see it in various spiritual traditions all over the world.
So you're saying there could be this, spiritual dimension to this whole story. It's not just about secret societies and technology, but also this battle for consciousness.
That seems to be a recurring theme, yeah. Good really stresses the importance of staying positive, protecting your energy, all that. It makes you wonder if there's more to our reality than we realize.
Totally. And if we connect this to the idea of partial disclosure, it adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Yeah.
Maybe the cabal isn't just hiding advanced technology. Maybe they're manipulating our perception of reality itself.
It definitely raises some big questions about who we are, where we come from, and what's really going on behind the scenes.
Okay, so let's talk more about this partial disclosure. What exactly does that entail? And why would the cabal even consider doing such a thing?
Well, from what I gathered, the MP3 suggests that the cabal is under pressure. They're losing control. This partial disclosure is their way of trying to manage the situation, to stay in charge of the narrative even as the truth starts to surface.
So it's like a calculated damage control move. They reveal just enough to keep people satisfied, but hold back the most important secrets.
Exactly. The MP3 suggests they might come clean about the MIC SSP and those ancient ruins in Antarctica, but they'll frame it in a way that serves their agenda. They might even introduce us to a specific ET group called the Tall Whites.
Tall whites, what are they like, friendly or hostile?
The MP3 is kind of vague on that, but it does suggest that the cabal might try to, exploit this contact, maybe create a new religion based on the Tall Whites' teachings.
So they could turn disclosure into a tool for manipulation. Use our fascination with the unknown to control us even further.
That's a possibility the MP3 highlights. And it underlines how important it is to be discerning, especially when you're dealing with information that claims to be groundbreaking. We can't just blindly accept everything we hear. We got to think critically, consider the source and the motivations behind the message.
Good point. So what about the SSP Alliance and the Sphere beings? What do they think about this partial disclosure plan?
Well, according to Good, they're pushing for full disclosure. They call it the optimal temporal reality for humanity. They believe that hiding the truth, even with good intentions, only creates more problems in the long run.
Optimal temporal reality. Okay, I'm not sure I fully get that term, but it sounds like they believe transparency is the best way forward. No more secrets, no more lies.
Yeah, basically. They believe humanity deserves to know the truth about its history, its origins, and its place in the universe. And they see this, full disclosure, as a catalyst for positive change.
So we've got this cosmic standoff between the cabal, who wants to control the story, and the Alliance, who want to reveal the truth. And in the middle are these enigmatic sphere beings, these advanced ETs, who seem to be playing a much bigger game.
It's a really compelling scenario, and as we delve deeper into this MP3, we'll explore the possible outcomes of both partial disclosure and full disclosure, and what it could mean for the future of humanity.
Man, the stakes are high.
They really are. Our choices, both individually and collectively, could have a huge impact on how things unfold.
So what can we do? How do we navigate this crazy situation and make smart choices?
That's something we'll get into in the last part of our deep dive, but for now, I think the most important thing is to stay curious, stay informed, and keep seeking the truth.
Solid advice. This is some seriously mind-blowing stuff, and we'll uncover even more in the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back, folks, to the final part of our deep dive into this MP3. David Wilcock, Antarctica Mystery Solved Wake Up World.
I don't know about you, but I'm still trying to process everything we've uncovered so far. I mean, secret space programs, hidden civilizations, a possible ascension event. It's a lot to take in, but now we got to ask ourselves, what does this all mean for us here on Earth?
That's the big question, isn't it? This MP3 goes beyond just telling a fantastic story. It lays out a possible roadmap for the future of humanity. And it seems that future depends on a choice between two paths. Partial disclosure, which is what the cabal supposedly wants, or full disclosure, which the SSP Alliance and those sphere beings seem to be pushing for. So are we talking about like a fork in the road here?
Yeah.
Which path leads to a brighter future? It's like that red pill, blue pill situation, but with, cosmic consequences.
Yeah, exactly. And the MP3 definitely seems to favor full disclosure, that optimal temporal reality they keep talking about. But what would that even look like in practice? Imagine suddenly, bam, the public finds out about ET life, about super advanced technologies, about a hidden history that's been kept secret for who knows how long.
Whoa, that would be a truly massive paradigm shift. How would people even react? Would we see chaos, panic in the streets, or would it be more like a collective aha moment, like finally confirmation of what many have suspected all along?
It's tough to say how people would react to such a huge revelation. But one thing's for sure, it would completely disrupt the way things are, challenge all those powerful institutions, and force us to rethink our place in the universe.
The MP3 claims that full disclosure would kickstart our evolution, launch us into this new era of peace and prosperity and maybe even spiritual enlightenment. But honestly, it's hard to picture such a smooth transition, Wouldn't it be confusion, maybe even conflict.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid concern. When you suddenly drop a whole bunch of new info on people, especially info that goes against everything they thought they knew, things could get a little shaky. That's why those advocating for full disclosure often emphasize the need for a responsible release of this knowledge.
So it's not just about, dumping all these secrets on the world all at once.
Right, there needs to be a process of education and integration.
Makes sense. Like imagine suddenly releasing blueprints for advanced energy tech or revealing that telepathy is real without the right context, without considering the ethics, without safeguards. That knowledge could be misused.
Exactly, you could end up with a dangerous situation.
Right, like giving a kid a loaded gun.
Mm.
Knowledge is powerful. It has to be handled with care.
And the MP3s suggest that the SSP Alliance and the Sphere beings understand this and are working to make sure humanity can integrate this advanced tech and cosmic truths responsibly.
But what about the cabal? If they're forced to reveal some things with this partial disclosure, wouldn't they try to spin it to their advantage?
The MP3 seems to think so. It suggests they might try to frame the existence of the MIC SSP as a necessary defense against, say, hostile aliens. Or they might present those ancient ruins in Antarctica as proof of their own lineage or authority, and they might even try to control the narrative around contact with those tall whites. Maybe even try to start a new religion based on their teachings.
Man, that's some serious manipulation.
Wow.
But if the cabal is losing power, as the MP3 claims, wouldn't people see through their lies?
That's where discernment comes in. In a world where we're bombarded with info and a lot of it's fake news, it's more important than ever to think critically, to question everything, to be wary of those who are trying to control the narrative.
So it's not just about what we're told, it's about who's doing the telling and what their agenda might be.
Precisely. We've got to be careful, especially when dealing with topics this extraordinary.
Well, this deep dive into David Wilcock Antarctica Mystery Solved Wake Up World has been quite a ride.
It has.
We've explored claims that really challenge our understanding of everything, our history, technology, even reality itself.
It's been an incredible journey, for sure. And while we may not have all the answers, we've gained some valuable insight into the forces that might be shaping our future.
Absolutely. And the main takeaway here, I think, is that the future is not set in stone. Our choices, individually and collectively, shape the future.
I think that's a great point. And exploring ideas like these helps us make informed choices, choices that lead to a better future.
Couldn't said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this?
I'd say the most important thing is to stay curious, stay open-minded, keep searching for the truth. The world is full of mysteries, and it's up to each of us to explore them.
Beautifully said. Well, this has been an amazing deep dive, and I have a feeling we'll be coming back to some of these topics again in the future. But for now, we hope you've enjoyed this exploration and that it sparked your curiosity. And as always, stay informed and keep diving deep.